Greetings, YouTube. I am very excited to make this video because I have wanted to make it for quite some time, really about a month since I got back from New York City, because I just wanted to let you, the YouTube audience, know what I attempted to talk to the Kabam developers at New York City Comic-Con, and just to let you know, there was no like formal, hey, sit down with us. So literally, I walked up to one of the people while I was standing in line to do the challenge where you go up against the champion and win a raffle ticket. And I'm like, hey, I have some ideas to improve this game that we all love. Who do I talk to? And they kind of just pointed me at the general direction of the people standing in front handing out raffle tickets. And they're like, these are the guys you want to talk to. So literally, I only had about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, but probably closer to 5, where I had written down just some things that I really wanted to tell Kabam's developers that I thought needed to be in the game to improve it. These were not criticisms as much as they were just helpful suggestions, because I truly hate when people make complaint videos, but there's no suggestion for a solution, right? A problem is only a problem until there's a solution, and it does no one any good to just complain about something without actually being proactive and helping improve it. And so, yes, there are always going to be people in my channel whenever I review offers and give them a bad grade, or I talk about some really sketchy, shady issues that the game is doing that say, Prof, you're Mr. Negative, you're too negative, you're the first person to be negative. Those people will always exist. But I think for the majority of people who follow my channel, you know I want to try to improve this game, and I'm only negative so that I can force anyone watching this to see the issue so that we can improve it. It's not just complaining for complaining's sake, because I would be a hypocrite to just complain all the time about a game that has given me so much joy. And as I always joke, but it's really not a joke, I've now been with this game for over 3 years. That's about twice as long as my longest romantic relationship. And yes, maybe that's an indictment of my romantic relationships, but that's also a credit to how much I've enjoyed playing through this game and not gotten so bored or burnt out that I left it like I would any other regular console game. Okay, so with that being said, I have written down 6 suggestions that I gave Kabam that I want to tell you that I did. Now, this is relevant now because Kabam has actually said to some people, and I'm not one of them, hey, if you would like to help us improve the game and be part of like a roundtable discussion, let us know. Now, the Kabam developers told me something really strange, and that was that they loved my suggestions, but they didn't think that they could actually use them right now because of legal issues, and that makes no sense to me. I was under the impression legally, and given I don't know a lot about the law, but that you only could be hurt legally if somebody tried to do something that you hadn't patented, but Kabam owns the full rights for Marvel Contest of Champions. All I would be looking for, best case scenario, is just like a formal shout out that's one sentence in a post. It could be a forum post that just said, hey, thanks to Prof Hoff for helping us come up with these suggestions. I wouldn't be looking for any monetary value, any special. You don't have to give me a crystal or anything. I just want to improve this game, and hopefully you can hear that passion come out of my voice. So some of these suggestions I think are really, really easy, and some are not so easy. So I'm going to start with the ones that I think are realistic, and then by the end go to the more far-fetched ones, even though I am just as passionate about those as I am the ones that I'm about to talk about. Okay, so my first suggestion, which Kabam had honestly said they never thought about, so I guess that kind of made me feel proud of myself, I don't know, is that the daily crystals, and when you become uncollected, they're the daily uncollected crystals, are a pain to remember to collect, because just like these uncollected 4-hour crystals, or the non-uncollected 4-hour crystals if you're not uncollected, you have to claim them. And I get why the 4-hour crystals you have to claim, because they're every 4 hours. But the uncollected daily crystals, it doesn't make any sense to me that you have to claim these at the same time or around the same time in order to not get hurt and lose hours. So for example, I'll be busy, right? And I'll maybe I should collect it at 10 a.m. And some mornings I teach at 10 a.m. and some mornings I don't. Well, I can claim it at 10 before my class, but say on a Tuesday I teach straight from noon to 3 o'clock. Well, the fastest I can claim it's like 3:05, and by then I've lost 5 hours that are just going to have to carry over to the next day. Now you might be thinking, okay, but what's the solution? Well, they already have a solution for this. One of the best things that this game has done in the past couple of years is these daily or monthly calendars, however you view them, because every time you log in, once that check mark has been granted, in this case we're on day 2, you automatically get the item if you log in during any part of that 24-hour period. And most importantly, you aren't penalized if you don't log in until hours after that calendar goes live. It's the same guaranteed reward every single day as long as you log in some second of that 24 hours. Why couldn't they put the daily crystal with this calendar and not penalize you for logging in at different points of the day? That way also, you get 30 or 31 daily crystals guaranteed every month, because otherwise you might forget to claim it and then you have to claim it the next day, and suddenly you've actually lost like 12 hours of time, and maybe you're only getting 29 or 30 crystals claimed for a 31-day period. So that is suggestion number 1. I think it's really easy and really doable. Now the second suggestion, which probably is going to get a little bit more pushback for them, but it shouldn't, because I'm putting their money and their mouth where their apparent perception of what they want is. What do I mean by that? Well, Kabam has said time and time again, and very much in the arena forum post when they talk about how they're trying to find ways for people to get champions from the arena, because they know they don't just want people to get those champions that don't have jobs or that have to grind 16 hours a day for 3 days. Now, of course, there's been some pushback from that, including on yours truly, because I do think they want those scores to be as high as possible. And there have been many instances where people can prove that bots are running the arena scores, and those bots don't seem to be removed from the contest because they also artificially inflate the top, especially that 5-star featured 150 champions. So I'm saying this to say, if Kabam is serious about not wanting people to make this a second or third job, which could actually hurt relationships and marriages and even like sleep, don't do what I really want you to do, because you're never going to do it. And that's to keep the permanent half-hour timers in Alliance Quest and Alliance War, because I've been told that's just unrealistic, and that's too bad, because half-hour timers are just the best, right? But if you want to put your money where your mouth is, and if you're serious about making it to where you can get a full night's rest, which social psychologists believe on average is 2 REM cycles, which is about 7 to 8 hours of consecutive sleep a night, then it's smart to extend the timers of Alliance Quest and Alliance War from 5 hours to 7 hours, so that you, on a good conscience, could sleep for 7 hours straight and know that you're not actually losing any amount of energy, because, of course, everything past 5, once you get to that maxed out energy, doesn't reset until you move again in Alliance Quest or Alliance War. So to recap so far, we are changing the daily crystal claim to the daily calendar claim, and we are changing the Alliance Quest Alliance War energy timers from 5 to 7 hours. Now, the third is something that's kind of a rendition of what they just announced yesterday, and that is premium crystal shard prices. I have not spent any units on premiums ever, not even at the beginning, because I was so focused on my mastery setup and not dying because I needed some revives because I sucked. But premiums now, are still the same amount of shards if you don't use units. And yes, they've talked about how they're decreasing the price if you use units, but that's irrelevant to everybody who doesn't use units on premiums anyway. I don't care if premiums were like 50 units, I wouldn't spend units on them. They're just not worth it, especially when there's now the Grandmaster Crystal instead. So if you want me to get more premiums faster, really, you're going to have to deal with this conversion of shards. Now, I think if you are uncollected, there should be a way to get more bang for your buck when it comes to these crystals. Maybe it's 1,500. Best case scenario, it's 1,000, right? Give us a 35, 25, 50% discount as uncollected members for claiming these crystals faster, getting more 4-stars in our roster, more max sig ability crystals. It would make getting to that next 5-star, which of course would get to the next 6-star even faster. And for the average player who just looks at premiums now as this thing that it's kind of cool to see how many 4-stars you can get, but that's it, it would be really helpful. And also it's one of those things that you would do only to help the player, which I know Kabam seems to be against in terms of not getting something back in return. But you are putting some fresh life into this crystal and making it to where it's more exciting to open them because you get to open more faster. And hey, if you get to open more faster and most of these shards come from the arena, then maybe you're also incentivizing people to run the arena more, which would give them more loyalty toward not quitting your game. Okay, so I think that's a cool idea. Hopefully you agree. Now, another thing that just bugs me is that as much as I love Blade, Blade is not my favorite champion. Everybody who's been following me knows my favorite champion should be Quake. And I want my Quake to be the face of my profile. I want people to click on Prof Huff when they search for me and be like, man, that guy really loves Quake. And I don't want to have to 565 Quake and somehow pray that her rating is higher than Blade's, which I don't think it would be, in order to get her to be the face of my account. Now, this would be a little bit trickier because part of the purpose right now for the face of your account is dueling. But if you look at like the top, it's like the same 5 champs for everybody. It's Blade, it's Corvus. For some people, it's Korg, right? It's Domino. And so I don't think anyone's going to come to my profile to duel my Blade. You can duel so many Blades so easily. So that's kind of taken aback the goal of this. I think at the beginning when the contest thought that every champion was going to be about the same, then you ranked up your favorite champion and they became your face, and that became a dual product. But that's not how this contest has worked, because we all know there are champions that are much, much better than other champions. So I think we should be able to choose the face of our profile and not have that even affect dueling. But speaking of dueling, I have covered this in a past video, but it's worth returning to. If you really want people to practice in this game, it's not enough to just have them be able to match up against that 565 champion. You need them to be able to play against debuffs and practice the same kind of debuffs that they're going to go up against in Alliance War. Now, yes, this is one of those suggestions that I believe is probably never going to happen because Kabam likes the fact that you aren't practicing against really, really tough combinations of nodes so that you make mistakes and you lose health faster and you lose revives, and therefore if you want to win Alliance War, you have to spend thousands of units for boosts and revives, etc. So I know that Kabam's probably never going to do this, but man, wouldn't it be cool if there was like this special mode kind of with the arena, right, where you could click on and you could load up whatever champion you wanted with up to, 10 debuffs, kind of like the randomizer debuffs, if you will, that we're having to go up against in the Occult Labs, and just practice and do it kind of like dual credits, maybe up to 5 times a day, and just practice and see which champions are the best champions to use for that specific path. And speaking of that, Kabam has made this goal for Alliance War seasons to be different every time. It sounds like they're going to tweak these all general national buffs. In this case, it's going to be female champs and bleed immunity. This significantly affects quite a few people who've ranked up. Maybe they don't want to bring Blade into Alliance War anymore, since this really is a silent nerf of Blade for Alliance War. But maybe they have somebody like Habakron, a great YouTuber, has a Gwenpool, and Gwenpool has effectively been nerfed to the ground for Alliance War. And if you only have one rank 565 champ and it's Gwenpool, you don't have the resources available to rank up a better champion for Alliance War. And wouldn't it be amazing if you knew that Kabam was going to give you just one rank down ticket before every start of the next Alliance War to acknowledge that, hey, that champion that you just ranked up to rank 565 now might not be so valuable in this new season of Alliance War, but don't worry, we're going to give you the materials, be it the bare minimum, to rank up someone else. And that way, because people are saying, Prof, it's not worth telling people to rank up female champs in general, because unless they're the best, like Medusa, they're not going to be as valuable for just 1 month of the contest, and I completely agree. So if you knew that every time there was a new month, you got a rank down ticket to rank up someone else depending on what those buffs were, you'd be able to relax, and I think it would give you more incentive to rank up champions that maybe you really like, but never would put them at the same level as your other really strong male champions in this case. So that's a suggestion. Again, I get why Kabam would be incentivized not to do that, but I think for the good of the game and especially of the burnout of Alliance War, it would be really, really helpful. So hopefully somebody who's going to be part of that roundtable can put all of these suggestions to Kabam for me. And then the last but certainly not least suggestion that I wanted to cover in this video is Alliance War rating during off seasons. It was obvious that so many alliances were tanking. They were not placing defenders at all in Alliance War. And Kabam knows this and refuses to think that it's a problem, and I have no idea why. If you want to de-incentivize people from tanking in between Alliance War seasons, in the off-season period, if you will, you need to freeze Alliance War ratings for the off-season. Have it be like the NBA or NFL preseason where your record doesn't matter. Yeah, you can keep it, but it gets reset at the start of the actual regular season and it doesn't affect your overall performance. And I will say that the only way that this would be an exception is if Kabam caught people cheating the same way that they would be cheating during Alliance War seasons in the off-season. And for that, you wouldn't necessarily bump them down and hurt the people, but you would maybe have some really harsh penalties, like some bans of individual accounts if people were caught trying to get an unfair advantage even during the offseason of Alliance War. So I know that those were, I guess, in total 7 suggestions because I threw in my suggestion about rank down tickets as well. But I really believe that all 7 of these are really beneficial to the contest. Yes, I realize some are more realistic than others, but why not give you my full spectrum? I was able to give Kabam most of these ideas. They did say that they could not automatically implement them, even though they liked a lot of them because of legal reasons. And so now that there's going to be this round table where certain summoners are going to either volunteer or be picked to give their feedback, I am asking anyone who has access to that round table, watch this video, write down these suggestions, push hard for these so that our voice can be heard and we can improve this game that I very much love and want to continue to love for another 3 years plus, because it really is one of my favorite things about my daily routine, and I only want it to be better, not just for me, but for you as well. Thanks for watching, YouTube.